Welcome back again to Yoga Express. It's about moving the body to still the mind. My name is Banu Suresh. I'm your host for this program. The last time Chris came on our show last week, I was so stressed out. If it hadn't been for the amazingly calm team that we had, I don't think we could have continued with that episode. But I'll tell you something, Chris, your workout was amazing. That's exactly what I needed. So I feel very fortunate to have Chris back with us. Before we have Chris tell us a little more about what he's been up to between last week and this week, Antonio, Lizette, Akram, and Nuriel, and Corey Bryce, our facilitator. Thank you. You guys make an amazing team. Appreciate all that you do for us. Chris, Chris's credits may or may not be visible right now, but you will be able to reach him. ChrisTempleYoga.com. That's his website. Do you want to spell it out for them?
Yeah, CHRIS, Chris, pretty straightforward. Temple, TEMPLE. Yoga, YOGA.com. And that's Chris Temple Yoga. You can find me.com, Facebook, Instagram, or at gmail.com. ChrisTempleYoga@gmail.com.
You're all over the place.
Yeah, gotta be, right? Gotta keep up.
Yeah.
Gotta be everywhere.
Yeah. Chris, that website title also is very simple. I checked it out. It was very nicely designed too. Very simple, straightforward. So if folks want to write to you,
yeah, there's a contact page. There's my email. I'm easy. If you just Google me, I'm not hard to find.
And Chris is usually away to Costa Rica and Japan. You go all over the place.
Yeah, usually towards the beginning of the year. That's where I do most of my traveling.
Okay.
There's a Love and Light Fest coming on after the summer. I'll go to that too as well.
Where is that?
It's actually in Maryland. I forget the name of the town, to be honest with you. But it's music, yoga, it's a lot of outdoors. It's kind of like reliving a similar vibe as to like Woodstock, something like that, but in a more yogic setting. Probably, a lot of...
You do that every year?
This is actually going to be my first year I'm going.
This is the first year?
Yeah, and this is just me experiencing. So I'm super excited to go out there and just, let someone else control the reins. And just enjoy.
I know, usually you're the person who's organizing everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I do a lot of organizing in the studio I work for. And
you're a studio manager, but you also teach there?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I teach, I do the retreats, I do privates, I do massage, so I always got my hands in something.
I didn't realize you're a massage therapist too?
I do Thai yoga body work. We don't officially call it massage. Legality prevents us from doing so.
Right.
But yeah, I do the Thai yoga body work. A lot of stretching, compression, and movement. It's really good for people who want to do yoga but aren't ready to, or maybe people who have disabilities or working through some sort of challenge in their life. It's a great way for them to be able to do yoga assisted with another person. So.
Oh, wow. Sounds amazing.
Yeah,
So you
good.
Really literally have your hands full. You're all over.
That's
doing
how I
everything.
roll. Yeah, I'm happiest when I'm doing a lot of different little things. So
Oh my God, that's an amazing lifestyle you have. I don't think I'll have the energy or I know I have the time. We all have the same 24 hours, but it's just the way you embrace life with all that energy. I think it's really admirable. It's great. I wish I could do that.
Thank you so much, Vanu. Yeah, I think that it's just a matter of, part of it is choice, but it's also who I am.
Right.
And just realizing that that's how I operate at my happiest and working with that.
Tell me something. You mentioned in the last episode, you talked about seasonal.
Yes.
I think you talked about
the Ayurvedically heading into our twisting season.
I loved it. So Are we going? Since we are probably still in the same season.
We are, but we're going to take a slightly different venue
Okay.
today. April showers bring May flowers, so we're still in that rainy season. So we're going to do a little bit of more of a liquid workout, working into the hips and what have you. So.
I'm ready.
All right, great stuff. So we actually are going to start lying on our back. You can face whichever way you're the happiest. And we're just going to tap into the hips a little bit here. So go ahead right away and just squeeze the knees into the chest. All right, and then your left knee will stay bent, but you're going to put your left foot onto the ground. And we're going to cross the right ankle in front of the left thigh. Now you can move your hands onto your left hamstring, so I'm threading one hand in between the legs, the one to the outside, so that I can get a good grip on that hamstring. This is our first hip opener here, and we just want to squeeze that left knee in towards the chest, meaning that your right heel is also going towards your chest. Now flex your right foot a lot. That stabilizes the knee, it keeps it safe, and it also gives you a better stretch. And if you find you have more space, now this is definitely not for everybody, you could move your hands onto the left shin. That requires a lot of hip opening, so if it's not for you, keep your hands on the hamstring, which is just perfectly fine. Now make sure you're breathing very deep and full, focusing on the exhales. And if you start to feel a lot in the hips, you don't have to go too deep, but make sure you're not clenching your jaw or making any ugly faces. Keep your face nice and relaxed, keep the jaw relaxed and the shoulders relaxed. All right, now just releasing that, and we're switching to the other side. So the right foot can go on the ground, you can cross the left ankle in front of your right thigh, move the hands, you thread the left in between the legs, the right on the outside of the hamstring. And then once again, just cradling that hamstring, flex your left foot a lot, pull the knee in towards the chest, the right knee in towards the chest. And if you have that extra space, you always have the option to wrap your arms or your fingertips around the shin. And again, nice fluid breaths in and out, create that space in the hips, go towards your edge. It's early, so you don't have to go super deep. And if you stop breathing or if your jaw or shoulders get a little tense, you probably want to relax that a little bit. All right, let's take one more breath here, and then we can release that down. Bringing both your feet onto the ground, hook the hands underneath the knee creases. Let's start to rock forward and back on our spine a couple times. Maybe 3 is a good number, and we'll come up to a seat. And then we're going to come on to hands and knees when you're ready, Banu. So, hands and knees to start, but we're going to bring the big toes to touch, knees wide, and we're just going to sit the hips back on the heels. Now, I'm looking forward with both my eyes and my chest, and I want to root the butt back and draw the chest forward. And if I have a little more space to give, I might walk my hands out a little bit to see if I can open the throat to the ground. Doesn't mean you have to touch the ground with your chin or your throat, but just opening the throat like you're looking forward. Also try to keep space in the back of the neck, so we don't want to just crunch in the cervical spine, but we do want to lengthen through the top of the head as well. All right, looking good. Now take another breath in, and we'll come back on the hands and knees. That was just to open up the lower back and the hips a little bit more. And then from there, we're going to curl the toes back behind us, lift your hips high and back to our first downward facing dog. This is a wonderful pose, downward facing dog. Often it's not people's favorite because it is very surprisingly challenging. But we're keeping our body in this upside down V shape with the hands spread out. My hands are about a little wider than my shoulders. As I'm looking back towards my heels are right underneath the hips. So, and my feet are forming like the number 11. They're parallel to one another. A lot of people sometimes when they start with this, the heels tend to dial in. We want to keep our feet nice and parallel. Now look back towards your thighs and give your heart a good push back there. It's early, so again, make sure you're breathing. Don't push too hard. It's not about feeling any sort of pain, but it is no pinching, but it is about feeling that opening up in the heart, in the shoulders, and the backs of the legs. Take 2 more breaths here, please. Slow, steady breaths in. All right, on our next exhale, we're going to walk to the front of the mat into a forward fold, step to parallel feet, and then just let your head hang down. Chin down to the chest is nice. You might want to interlace your fingers back behind the head, give a little pull on the skull. If not that, maybe just hold on to opposite elbows. Let's bounce up and down a couple times, and then just sway yourself side to side a couple times. All right, take a breath in through the nose. Let's
Practice our lip trills. Just very nice. Good sound. All right, let's release the hands to the ground. And we're going to come all the way up to stand, but we're going to take our time, rolling up one vertebrae at a time. Really just pressing the back into the upper back so that you feel that opening between your shoulder blades. When you get to the top, you can shrug the shoulders a couple times. Should feel pretty nice. All right, let's step our feet wider than the mat. So my toes are slightly off the mat, about 45 degrees, testing your geometry skills. And then we're just going to take our hands to the heart. We're going to take a breath in, and with your exhale, start to squat down. We're not going too low on the first one. On your inhale, we're going to come back up nice and slow. And then on your exhale, dip down. Now, we are going a little lower than the first time. If you find you need space, come on back up. You can always step a little wider apart if that works better for you. So let's see. On your exhale, we're going to dip down nice and low. Cool. Starting to feel those inner thighs a little bit. Yeah, hip opener like I promised. Exhale, dip down. We'll take that one more time. Inhale to come up. Try to press evenly into the feet. Try not to roll to the big toe side of your feet. Let's go all the way down. We're going to try to stay down. You might swim your hips. Like I said, we're adding the element of water into this practice. So if you swim your hips a little bit side to side, that might feel good. And then we can find ourselves in what is called malasana. Now you want to press your elbows into your inner thighs a little bit. Press your heart to the thumbs. If this is too much, you can always lift up a little higher, which is going to require a little more strength, but that's going to bring in heat so that you'll eventually be able to dip down nice and low. How you doing there? Good. Connected with the breath. Looking out in front. If it helps, you can close your eyes. Let's take one more breath here. All right, our exit is a little different. We're going to bring our hands onto the ground. Spin your heels out to parallel your feet. Drop the head. And then just plant your hands onto the ground. If you need to bend the knees, that's perfect. And we're going to step back to downward facing dog. On your inhale, let's come forward to plank pose, shoulders over the wrist. On the exhale, lower your knees down. You can bend the elbows to 90 degrees to lower halfway down through this modified chaturanga. It's like a push-up with the elbows in. Flip onto the tops of the feet, and then breathe up into the heart here. This should feel good on the lower back. Excellent. Exhale, we're going to press back to child's pose because that's where we're going to start our next sequence from. Look out in front of you in this child's pose. So traditionally, child's pose has you with the head on the ground. This child's pose, we're looking out in between your thumbs. You might feel like a cat that's about to pounce. We're not going to be a cat, but we are going to be a lizard. So come on to hands and knees nice and slowly. And then step your right foot to the outside of your right hand. Nice. Take a breath in, open up the heart forward, shoulders back, widening through. With your exhale, start to straighten through the front leg and bow your head in between your elbows. On your inhale, rebend that knee, draw the chest forward. Keep the back of the neck long. You got a little back bend there, that's nice. And then exhale to draw back. One more time, please. We just pulse through these two shapes. We're opening up the hip here when we come forward. And then as we draw back again, the hamstring starts to open up on that right leg. Cool. Let's come forward again, but just stop. Don't come into the back bend. We're going to step our big toes to touch and our knees wide to the sides of the mat. Now, this is a little tricky. Left hand is going to circle to the mat behind you. And then the right hand is going to reach up and over your head into a little bit of a back bend here. Take a breath in through your front side body. Nice. On your exhale, just sweep that right hand across the front of the mat. And the same thing, the right hand's going to go back behind you. And then lift up in the hips and stretch through the left side body. Let's take that one more time, please. Sweeping that left hand across. Go low with the chest if you can. Left hand behind, right hand reaches up and over your head. Look at the fingertips on that right hand. All right, Banu, listen closely. Let's take that right hand to the center of your mat. And then bring your right knee behind the wrist. Right knee behind that wrist. Left foot's going to straighten back. We're going to come onto the big toe side of that left foot. And then take your left hand up to the sky. Now we're just looking up to the thumb and we're making sure to engage the core so this right wrist stays nice and light. I'm going to be tricky here. This isn't for everybody, but if you want to check in with your core, you might even take that right hand up off the ground. Now we're going to side stretch. So take this top hand, reach it to your back ankle, and then take the right hand up and over your head and take a side stretch through the right side body. If you can, look up at your right fingertips. Take another breath in with your exhale. Take that right hand back down to the ground. Both hands down to the ground, and we'll step back to our downward facing dog. Press your hips back. Press your heart back to the feet. On an inhale, let's come forward to plank pose. And we're going to lower through chaturanga. You can modify with knees. I'm just going to lower my elbows halfway down. And then flipping onto the tops of the feet, coming into our upward facing dog. Shine through the heart. Exhale, curl the toes. Press back to child's pose, Manu. So take your knees wide, big toes touch, hip back on the heels. Look forward between your thumbs. We're back in that cat about to pounce pose. Now we're going to come forward onto hands and knees and step that left foot to the outside of your left hand. Yeah, nice. Now draw your chest forward. Take a breath in. It's like a smiling wide of the collarbones. Exhale to draw that front leg straight and bow the head in. Now remember, we're pulsing through this a couple times. Inhale, draw the chest forward, shoulders back. And then exhale to pull back. So nice. Every time we go, you could go a little deeper if it feels good. Bend the knee, draw your chest forward. And then exhale to draw back. Awesome. So we are coming forward again, but here's the part. We'll step our big toes to touch, let the knees go wide, and then trail this right hand to the back of your mat. So I make a little circle, I tent the fingers at the back of my mat, and then I'm opening up through my left side body, breathing in and big. And then exhale to sweep that left hand across. Getting low if you can, high as you need to, left hand behind you, and that same stretch through the right side body. Look up at the fingertips if you can, press your hips forward. One more time, big sweeping action. Take that right hand across. The fingers go back behind you. Good dodge on the water bottle, Banu. Left hand high to the sky. Big stretch in. All right, remember this top hand goes to the center of your mat, so you got to use the little core there. Left knee behind the left wrist. And then we're kicking the right leg to the back of the mat to come onto the big toe side of that foot. Now take your right hand high to the sky. We're just breathing here. This is a little core again. I'm going to be fancy and lift this left hand up to make sure I'm engaging my core. If you're not ready for that, no worries. Let's take another breath in. Looking at the top hand. We're going to reach the top hand to the back ankle. Placing that hand. So, Banu, take your right hand and bring it to your right ankle at the back of your mat. Nice. And now take this left hand up and over your head to the back wall, stretching through the side body. Beautiful stretch there. Take a big breath in. And then exhale, take your hands down to the ground. Let's step our feet back to plank pose. Take a breath in, plank. Again, I'm going to take chaturanga. You can modify, lowering the elbows down. Flip onto the tops of the feet. Look up to the sky. Open the chest. And then exhale. Draw your hips high and back to your downward facing dog this time. Banu, how you doing over there?
Surviving.
So we have the sequence. We're just going to do it one more time.
Okay.
And we're not speeding up per se, but we are connecting it with the breath. So let's take the right leg high to the sky. Exhale, step the foot to the outside of your right hand. Now the back knee can stay up this time. Inhale, draw the chest forward. And then exhale to draw the front leg straight and bowing the head in. 2 more pulses. Breathing in. The front hip, the inner thigh starts to open. Exhale, pressing into the front foot, opening up on that hamstring. One last time. Breathing in. And exhale to draw back. As you come back forward, lower the back knee down. Big toes touch the back of the mat, knees wide. Left hand circles back behind you. Big stretch through the right side body. Reaching up. Exhale, sweep that hand across. Get low if you can. This feels almost tribal. I feel like it's perfect with these drums. Big stretch through the side body. Swing it across. One last time. Get low. Left hand behind, press the hips up, look at the top fingers. And now we're taking the top hand and we're putting it at the center of your mat. Boom. Right knee behind right wrist. Left foot slides back to the inner big toe side of that back foot. Look up with your left hand. I'll raise my right hand up. I'm using my core. Take another breath in. Now this top hand is reaching to the back ankle. Right hand stretches up and over your head. Again, see if you can look up towards the fingertips. Take a breath in. With your exhale, hands to the ground. Take your time. We're going to step back to plank pose. Take a breath in plank. Exhale, lower halfway down. Use your knees if you need to. Upward facing dog. Breathe up into the spine. Downward facing dog. Hips high and back. Take a breath in through the nose. Let's just reset with a nice job. That sounded great. Inhale, left leg high. Exhale, step it to the outside of your hand. Back knee stays up. Look forward. Breathe in. Exhale, draw back. And we pulse. Inhale. Collarbone smiling wide. Keep this left knee hugging in if you can. Exhale. Bow the head in. One last time. Breathing the chest forward. Shoulders pulling back from the ears. And then exhale to draw back. All right, pay attention. We come back into the lunge. And then I'm lowering the back knee down. I'm going to step my big toes to touch. Knees wide. Beautiful job. Right hand swings to the back of the mat. Left hand up and over for the side stretch, front side opener. Sweep that across. Go low if you can. Big exhale. Keep the breath moving. That's the key. Reach that right hand up and over your head. One last time. Sweep it across. If you keep the breath fluid, it feels so much better. All right, here's where it gets a little tricky. Left hand's going to reach forward. Put it on the ground. Take the left knee behind the left wrist. Take the right foot to the back of the mat. Roll to the big toe side. Take this right hand up to the sky. Cool. You stay where you are. I'm bringing my left hand to my heart just to be fancy. Now we're going to reach to the back ankle, Banu. So reach your right hand to the back of the room. Yeah, nice. Big stretch through the left side body. Take your left hand up and over your shoulder. Take one more breath. Nice job. Lower both hands down to the ground. Step back to plank pose. Take a breath in plank pose. Exhale, lower through your push-up, chaturanga, or knees down, chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Exhale. Downward facing dog. Will you take another breath with me here, Banu? Deep inhale and a good lower your knees down. Have yourself a seat. All right. So the fun isn't over yet. Let's bring the soles of the feet together. Allow your knees to open up wide. If you can, pull your heels in towards your groin as close as you can. You could pull your heels into your groin. What I find is an interesting approach too is leaving your feet down, taking your hands behind you, and sort of lifting the hips and drawing your hips forward. It's kind of the same thing.
The mountain doesn't come to
Muhammad. Right. Muhammad goes to the mountain. The mountain is not moving. So that's totally fine. But it actually does create a different stretch. So you can hold on to your feet if that works for you. Some people would rather take their hands out. Either one's good. But what we want to try to do here is find the forward folded, the hips first. The hips will start giving you they give you as much as they can, and then they might stop, and that's okay. Breathe into them again. You might find they'll give you a little bit more. But after that, what we can do is round the spine, which should feel pretty nice. I personally like to bring the chin onto the chest. It really takes the stretch through the back of the neck, which is oh so good. And every time you breathe in, it's not only this feeling of drawing your chest and head forward, but I'm also sort of sticking my butt back. So I'm thinking my spine in two separate directions as I let these hips open. Slow, steady breaths here. We'll take 3 together. Deep inhale. And then see if you can lengthen forward as you draw the shoulders back. We'll take that one more time. Come on up nice and slowly, Banu. Now this will be interesting for you, I think. I'm going to leave the right leg basically where it is. Let's take this left foot and just turn it the other way. Is this working out okay for you? Yeah. So this is like almost like a cross, a bent cross here. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to twist towards that knee. And what we're going to try to do is see if you can lift that knee up off the ground as you turn your chest towards the knee. That's all. See how high you can lift the leg, and then we're going to take it back to the right. We're going to try to leave the knee down and lift the foot up off the ground. You feel anything in your hip there?
Oh my God,
right?
that's
Surprisingly
tough.
challenging,
It
right?
just looks
Take
so
a breath
simple.
here. Let's do this a couple times. So we're going to turn towards that left knee, and you can lift the knee up. And then as you exhale, lower the knee down and see if you can lift the foot up off the ground.
One more time
Is
feels
it okay
good.
to keep my hand down?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. We work with where you're at. I'll explain it to you in a second. So knee back, I'm turning towards the knee. And then as I lower the knee down. Now, yes, you can put the hand down. That's obviously going to make it easier. So over time, we won't even need that. Nice job. I love it. I love it. All right, bring both your feet back together. And we take the other side. So I'm turning this right knee out. Left knee is basically where it was. Now, the first thing I'm doing is dialing, that way to see if you can lift this knee up. Try to keep your chest right over your hips. And then turn towards your left. And we're trying to lift this foot up off the ground. Yeah, that's I feel that right in my hiney. Cool. Now open it up, knee to the sky, dialing the chest towards it. And then exhale to lower down, maybe lifting that heel up off of the ground. Ooh. Yeah, one more time. Breathe towards it. And exhale. Lower it down. Heel lifts up just a little bit. Awesome. Perfect. Great. Now lowering that down. Let's take both our feet out in front of you. Cool. Keep both knees bent. This should feel pretty good. Just windshield wiper your legs side to side. Yeah, very nice. All right. Now let's come back onto our back. Do you want to turn around so you can give your head to the guests? And then from there, take your feet about mat's width apart. Let your knees drop to one another. So my feet are on the edges of the mat, but my knees are dropping to one another. Now, we've done a lot of open hip stuff. This is the opposite of that. So it's kind of engaging the inner thighs and stretching out the outer thighs. Just turn your palms up. It might feel good to press your elbows into the ground. Squeeze your shoulder blades together behind you, and then rest with the heart wide open. If the knees come apart, that's okay. See if you can squeeze them back together. And then just take a couple breaths here to sort of undo what we've done, which wasn't a bad thing, but we want to make sure with every expansion there is a contraction. With every contraction there is an expansion. Take one more breath here, Banu. All right, and then let's release that. Take your feet out. We can come back up to a seat, and I do believe we are done.
Yes. Well, oh, that feels so good. Every episode, it feels like I am reactivating or energizing one new muscle group that I never knew I had.
Right? And you know when you're really going to know about those muscle groups? Tomorrow.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be
But
like, I never knew I had
continue.
that.
I'm going to continue these stretches for the rest of the week because you've promised to come again next Monday.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. You've built me up so much. My muscles, I know, you're right. Tonight I'm going to...
You feel good tonight. Tomorrow, well, I don't know. Maybe not so much.
But thanks to our crew as well. Thank you so much. Lizette, Antonio, Akram, Noriel, and Corey. Thank you so much for hanging in there.
Namaste,
Staying
friends.
with us. We really love you. Thank you. We've got to wrap it up. There was just one quick question.